Most men try to win women with gifts, looks, or charm, and that's exactly why they're forgotten. But Machiavelli saw deeper. He knew something darker, something most men never understand. The goal isn't to be liked, it's to be unforgettable. Not by pleasing her, but by controlling what she feels when you're gone. In this video, you'll learn 9 dark psychological frameworks inspired by Machiavelli, designed to trigger obsession without saying a word of flattery. No chasing, no performing, no begging for love. You'll learn how to become the man she can't explain, but also can't stop thinking about. Watch closely, because once you see how this works, you'll never play the game like an average man again. The power of fear over love. There's a quote by Machiavelli that most men ignore, not because it's wrong, but because it's uncomfortable. It is much safer to be feared than loved. At first, this sounds cruel, like something only a villain would believe. But look closely, not at what people say, but at what they do. Watch how women behave around different types of men. And suddenly, that sentence makes sense. Love can feel warm, software kind. It's the emotion we all crave, but also the one we easily take for granted. When love is always there, always giving, always soft, it loses its weight. It becomes background noise. Safe, yes, but also forgettable. And here's where most men fall. They think love is enough. They believe that if they give more, show more, open up more, she'll value it. But what happens? She stops feeling it. Because what is freely given without challenge holds no power. Now enter fear. Not the kind that hurts. Not yelling. Not control. Not violence. That's weakness trying to look like strength. And women can smell it. Real fear is when a man has boundaries so firm she feels them without him saying a word. He doesn't need to raise his voice. He doesn't need to argue. He doesn't need to explain his worth. He simply moves away, and the silence teaches her what words never could. This man doesn't chase. He doesn't explain why he was hurt. He doesn't beg for her to stay. He simply lets her feel the absence. And that absence hits harder than any emotional outburst. Because the moment she realizes he's serious, the game changes. She knows he won't break his own rules just to keep her. She knows that if she disrespects him, she loses him. And that's when attraction becomes obsession. Not because he gave her more, but because he was willing to give nothing when his values were crossed. That is fear. Not the fear of a man, but the fear of losing a man she can't control. And here's the psychological secret. Most women aren't obsessed with being loved. They're obsessed with the man who doesn't need their love to feel complete. That's why women chase the man who walks away. That's why they respect the one who doesn't fold. That's why they keep thinking about the man who never begged. He wasn't mean. He wasn't cruel. He was just unshakable. He had something 99% of men don't. Standards that weren't for sale. So when Machiavelli said it is safer to be feared than loved, he wasn't rejecting love. He was teaching you that respect must come first. That without fear of loss, love becomes lazy. And that the deepest desire comes not from what you give, but from what you're willing to take away if she doesn't value it. So remember this. She may love you. She may enjoy your company. But if she doesn't fear losing you, you're replaceable. But if she knows deep down that you won't stay where you aren't respected, you'll never have to ask for her attention again, because she'll be the one fighting to earn yours. That's not cruelty. That's psychological gravity. That's dark attraction. And that's the power of fear over love. Master the image. Machiavelli once said something brutally simple and terrifyingly true. It is not necessary to be good. It is necessary to appear good. This one sentence breaks the spell most men live under. Because from childhood, we're trained in a lie. If you're kind, loyal, hardworking, and honest, people will respect you. Women will desire you. The world will reward you, but it won't. Because the world doesn't see your truth. It sees your presentation. You can be loyal. You can be intelligent. You can have deep values and noble intent. But if you show up with weak posture, uncertain tone, anxious energy, no one will feel your worth. Especially not a woman. Because female attraction doesn't begin with facts. It begins with perception. Not what are you, but what do I feel when I'm around you. She's not analyzing your logic. She's scanning your energy, how you walk, how you speak, how you react when tested. And that's where image becomes power. This isn't about lying. This isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about framing. Because humans don't respond to truth. They respond to what feels true. And if you don't control how, you're seen, someone else, her emotions, her biases, her past will define you for her. So, what does this mean in action? When you feel unsure, stand like a man who is certain. When you feel anger, speak like a man who controls fire. When you want to chase her, do nothing. Let her come toward you. Because in stillness is power. In mystery is attraction. Let her see 80% of who you are. Leave the rest behind your eyes. Let her imagination fill in the gaps. And what she creates in her mind will often be far more powerful than anything you say. Because mystery is magnetic. And humans don't chase what they fully understand. They chase what they can't quite grasp. This is how obsession begins. Not with oversharing, but with silence. Not with convincing, but with presence. So stop explaining yourself. Stop trying to be understood. Start shaping your image. Because in a world ruled by perception, image is not just everything, it's the game. Be the lion and the fox. Every woman will test you. Not to hurt you, but to see if you break. She'll shift her tone. She'll pull away. She'll go cold, then warm, then cold again. She'll say one thing and do another. And all of it is to see one thing. Do you collapse or do you hold? Most men don't even know they're being tested. They think she's confused or emotional. So, they explain. They apologize. They try to fix things with words. And just like that, they lose the game. But Machiavelli, centuries ago, gave the blueprint. A powerful man must be both a lion and a fox. The lion is power. He doesn't chase. He doesn't explain. He creates boundaries with his silence. He commands the room without raising his voice. The fox is intelligence. He doesn't react to bait. He doesn't reveal his hand. He listens and strikes when the moment is clean. And here's the trap most men fall into. If you're only the lion, strong, direct, forceful, she'll find a way to provoke you. And when you explode, she sees you as unstable. If you're only the fox, clever, calm, calculating, she'll feel your charm, but not your spine. And without that fire, she won't trust you to lead. But if you are both, if she sees strength in your stillness and calculation in your silence, she won't know how to predict you. And that uncertainty, that tension, that's what hooks her deeper than words ever could. So, how do you embody both? When she's emotional, be the fox. Watch. Don't react. Let her test crash against your calm. When she crosses a line, be the lion. Not with anger, not with threats, but with presence. A stillness that says, "This is my boundary, and I won't move." That's the man she respects. Not because you yell, but because you don't flinch. Not because you explain, but because you don't need to. She won't understand how to play you, because you don't play. You watch. You wait. You act when it matters. That's power. Not noise, not charm, but the fusion of strength and silence. Lion protects your respect. The fox protects your mind. And together, they make you unforgettable. Divide her world. Machiavelli's oldest law of power was simple: divide and conquer. But this isn't just for empires. It works quietly inside the human mind. You don't control a woman by force. You don't fight her beliefs head-on. You seed doubt and let her do the rest. Because when a woman feels certain, she's in control. She knows what she wants. She feels grounded, safe. Your goal? Not to destroy her beliefs, but to make her question them. Just one small, unexpected shift. Not an argument, a suggestion. She says, "I hate jealous men." You smile, calm, playful. That's what you think. Now that one sentence creates a crack. Small, harmless, but deep. Now her mind starts spinning. What did he mean? Do I really believe that? Why did that stay in my head? That's how division begins. Not between you and her, but inside her. When part of her still agrees with herself, but another part starts to wonder. She loses control of the narrative. Most men avoid this. They rush to agree with her, to be liked. They make her feel safe, validated, certain. But certainty doesn't attract. Tension does. Because when she's torn, when she feels curious, conflicted, unsure, her emotions stay open. And in that openness, your influence grows. Don't fight her beliefs. Just tap them once, with calm. Then let silence do the work. She'll argue with herself. And without realizing it, you've entered her mind. Not as a threat, but as a mystery. That's Machiavellian seduction. Not dominance, not drama. Surgical precision. Power that doesn't feel like power, because it feels like curiosity. And curiosity. That's the hook that keeps her circling you, even when you say nothing at all. Reward in doses, punish all at once. Machiavelli once said, "Injuries must be inflicted all at once,